Hello and welcome back to ELA Explained. In this video, we'll continue our discussion of archetypes. As a brief review, archetypes are symbols, themes, settings or character types that recur in different times and cultures, embodying essential elements of universal human experience. As I mentioned in the previous video, archetypes are flexible and there is no single system for categorizing them. In this video, we will focus on some common examples of archetypal symbols, specifically the tree, the sword, and the mirror. The tree is one of the richest and most universal archetypal symbols in mythology, religion, and literature. Trees often represent life and growth, a connection between realms and wisdom. A well-known example appears in the book of Genesis, where two trees grow in the Garden of Eden, the tree of knowledge, which introduces moral choice, free will and the loss of innocence, and the tree of life, which offers immortality. These trees form a cosmic boundary between the divine and the human. Eating from the tree of knowledge awakens self-awareness, but also shame, mortality, and suffering. The tree serves as a threshold symbol, marking the boundary between paradise and exile, innocence and knowledge, obedience and rebellion. It reflects an archetypal pattern across many myths, the idea that knowledge and transgression are inseparable, and that growth comes with loss. In Norse mythology, the world tree connects the 9 realms, heaven, earth, and the underworld. It's a cosmic axis, or axis mundi, representing order, interconnection, and the cyclical nature of life. Eternal, yet constantly threatened and renewed, it mirrors the rhythm of life, the seasons, and the spiritual transformation. In Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, Boo Radley leaves gifts for Scout and Jem in the knothole of a tree. Here, the tree becomes a bridge between the children and Boo, symbolizing silent kindness, innocent communication, and unspoken understanding.
Look, Jim. Look, the boy wears hair in front of his eyebrows like you do.
Yeah, and the girl wears bangs like you.
These are us.
When Nathan Radley fills the knothole with cement, the fragile connection is cut off, a metaphor for silencing compassion. The tree thus represents the possibility of connection across fear and misunderstanding. Another common symbol is the sword, often associated with power, authority, justice, the warrior spirit, honor, and conflict. In the Anglo-Saxon epic Beowulf, we encounter 2 swords with distinct symbolism, Hrunting and the giant sword. Hrunting, gifted to Beowulf by Unferth, who had earlier doubted his bravery, is described as mighty but fails against Grendel's mother. It symbolizes the limitations of inherited tradition and glory, carrying the weakness of its flawed giver. By contrast, the giant sword found in Grendel's mother's lair is too heavy for ordinary men, but Beowulf lifts it and uses it to defeat Grendel's mother. This sword, discovered in darkness, represents divine favor, earned wisdom, and true heroic power. It appears in a moment of need and vanishes afterward. Power, the story suggests, is not inherited, it is earned. This message is reflected in the next example we're going to analyze. One of the most famous swords in English literature is King Arthur's Excalibur. Depending on the legend, it is either pulled from a stone, proving Arthur's worth, or given by the mystical Lady of the Lake as a gift of divine authority. Sometimes these are treated as 2 swords. Sometimes they are two aspects of the same destiny. The sword in the stone is a symbol of trial by destiny. It symbolizes personal worth, inner value, honor, justice, and many qualities associated with the concept of chivalry. Only the true king can pull it from the stone, and for Arthur, this becomes the initiation phase of his journey, proving his worth before receiving power. After Arthur is mortally wounded, returning the sword marks the symbolic end of his era, the death of chivalric ideals, unity, and justice.
When you cast it in, what did you see?
I saw nothing but the wind on the water. My king, I couldn't do it. Excalibur cannot be lost. Other men...
Do as I command. One day, a king will come, and the sword will rise again.
In both of these examples, swords symbolize power, justice, or divine authority. In contrast, Fujisawa Shuhei's stories subvert the traditional sword archetype. The short story Tasogara Seibei focuses on a low-ranking government official, poor and disrespected, living in the twilight of the samurai era. His wooden sword mirrors his life, quiet, unadorned, and fading, yet it holds strength, honor, and dignity. In a pivotal scene, Seibei uses his wooden sword to defeat a strong opponent without drawing blood.
小田殿、遅れて失礼しました。私がお相手する。なんだその棒切りは。我が流派の棒でがんす。これでお相手する。俺をバカにするのか。刀抜け。刀使えば命さ関わりますども、この棒なば安寸。当たっても骨折るぐらいで済む。平侍の分際で生意気な。切るぞ。気ぃつけ、小田は居合をつけぞ。今謝れば許してやるぞ。謝るのはあんたの方でがんしょう。 険なば首が飛んでましたの。手ついて謝りますか。それとも続けますか。
In this example, the sword becomes a symbol of hidden strength, disillusionment with the warrior code, and the burden of violence, not its glory. Our final example is the mirror. The mirror is a symbol of self-reflection, identity, introspection, and the search for truth. Mirrors reveal but also distort, connecting to ideas of vanity, illusion, unattainable ideals, temptation, and fantasy. They are also often gateways to other worlds or states of being. Our first example will be a biblical one. In 1 Corinthians, Paul writes, "For now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face." Or in the New International Version, "For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face." Here, the mirror represents our limited understanding, dim and distorted, giving only a partial view of truth. Eventually, full knowledge will come, and the mirror becomes a symbol of the human longing to know the divine. Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass is one of the most imaginative and complex literary uses of the mirror as an archetypal symbol. Alice steps through a mirror in her home and enters a world that looks like her own, but everything is reversed. Time runs backward, logic is flipped, and cause and effect are subverted. The mirror is a gateway from reality to imagination, reflecting dualities such as order versus chaos and sense versus nonsense. Alice's journey represents a coming-of-age allegory, exploring identity through a fragmented, mirrored self. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the mirror of Erised shows the viewer their deepest desire. Harry sees his deceased parents, Ron sees himself holding the house cup. Dumbledore explains, "The happiest man on earth would look into the mirror and see only himself, exactly as he is." The mirror, a projection of desire rather than reality, symbolizes temptation, fantasy, and the unconscious longing that can trap the ego if pursued obsessively.
But remember this, Harry. This mirror gives us neither knowledge or truth. Men have wasted away in front of it, even gone mad. That is why tomorrow it will be moved to a new home. And I must ask you not to go looking for it again. It does not do to dwell on dreams, Harry.
As we can see, these symbols, while used in very different ways, share common themes and significance, which makes them archetypal. That said, it's important not to overgeneralize. The context and unique usage of each symbol matter just as much as their similarities. That's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.